Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rafe Gal. I know I already did this one once, but it's kind of in a buried backlog at this point. So I just wanted to give it another go. I have been watching speedruns all day. I've been meaning to make videos, but I wasn't feeling great. But despite that, I've been watching awesome games done quick. Didn't get around to doing any videos, partially because I was getting distracted by the awesome speedruns, and partially because just kind of not feeling it today. But after watching all those awesome speedruns, just makes me want to play Mario. And it's not like I can go and play more Mario World or more Mario 3, although I did consider very briefly trying to pick up one of the Kaizo ROM hacks. That was terrible. There's a reason that the first video didn't go super well. It's mostly because I haven't played Mario 1 in a long time. And I tried to go too fast. So, for this one, I'm pretty much just gonna take my time. I am gonna try and play through the game, but I'm mostly just doing... I wanted to do a video, and none of the stuff that I'm currently recording sounded appealing right now. I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I was gonna be making decisions or needing to stick it out. Or getting frustrated. Because, you know, something like Pokemon, one mistake right in the Nuzlocke run is gonna be it. Need to stop forgetting that the bounce on these enemies is much, much less than in Mario Maker. Same problem I ran into the last time I was playing Mario 1, which was one of the major differences between Mario 1 and the Mario 1 levels in Mario Maker is the way you bounce off enemies. In Mario Maker, when you bounce off an enemy, you actually can get some good height. And I've actually designed whole levels based around that idea in Mario Maker. Someday, if I get a capture card, I will show you. I have no idea how I survived that. But yeah, no. If you're not familiar, I mentioned AGDQ earlier as a speedrunning, the speedrunning thing I've been watching. It's awesome games done quick. It is a speedrun marathon. They do for charity. It supports the Prevent Cancer Foundation, and in previous years they've done other charities. I know they've done Doctors Without Borders and a few other things. But it is a great show. They go for a whole week and have 24/7 streaming of people absolutely wrecking games, both you know, through just pure skill or through well done glitches, which are still require skill. I used to be in the camp of, oh, glitched games don't count, or glitched runs shouldn't count as, you know, a show of skill, because, you know, anyone can glitch out a game. but glitches are tricky. Getting pixel perfect tech to break a game is not as easy as you might think, and while they're not my favorite to watch, I can still respect the people who have those type of runs. But yeah, no, it runs for a whole week. They'll have their whole archive up on YouTube if people are interested on checking it out. It's on Games Done Quick, and they have 2 marathons like that a year. So if you're interested in getting some good viewing, maybe tossing a few bucks to charity, they're currently it's still running, but it's at I think 1.8 million right now that they raised this time around. So I mean, it's not like a small event by any means. They were, trending on the front page of Twitch all week and raised several $1 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So I definitely recommend checking that out if you are interested in this sort of thing. It's what got me interested in looking into speedrunning, and honestly, watching that type of stuff and some of the people that I found through that are part of what got me interested in putting these videos up in the first place, along with Chewy, one of the hosts of the Mana Pool podcast, who also is a streamer / content producer on YouTube, who I would also highly recommend checking out if you're interested. The Mana Pool is a Magic the Gathering podcast, very casual podcast. It's 4 guys who played together in college, and now they started doing this podcast. I think they're getting close to 10 years ago, and it's kind of just a way for them to stay in touch and celebrate something that they, that brought them together when they were younger and stuff. So none of them play competitively, have ever played competitively or anything like that. They're just kitchen table players talking about the game and having fun. Chewy does streams of Hearthstone, Overwatch, and random Steam games, so kind of the same type of setup I've got. Except for he actually edits his videos and stuff. I know who does that, right? Okay. Grab that so we can deal with the Hammer Brothers. Let's see if I can get this. That's also, AGDQ is also how I believe that's how I found, some of the other people I've watched as far as speedrunners go. That's why I tried to speedrun, Refunked. Not actually because it was on the event, but because I had watched the event and was like, or when I found Refunked, I was like, this game would be fun to do fast. And then I tried it to see how fast I could do it, and it took way, way longer than I thought. For me. The speedrun for that game is ridiculous. That's great. And the leaderboard for it also exploded a little while after I started, so my times never seem to make much progress. I'd improve my time and go down in the rankings because so many other people had posted since the last time I did. But I still enjoy that game. I also was looking at Mario speedruns, but there's so many people that do those, and they're so optimized. I need something obscure. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of glitched runs, so a lot of the other, or some of the other games that I really enjoy have major glitched categories, but no, like, the actual runs that I would be interested in aren't done, aren't popular. Like, Blaster Master is one that I had looked at. So I'm content to just casually play through my games and have fun and not worry about going fast. Even though I do have that tendency as well. RPGs are another thing I had considered, but they are very, very memorization heavy. And I have this bad habit with RPGs of not liking to follow rules and just kind of feeling out and doing what I want. I like to look for the optimization. I mean, if you've watched any of my Hearthstone videos, you know I don't like to necessarily just do what you're supposed to do with a deck. I like to look for weird, fun things to do and kind of try and push the envelope. And so yeah, RPG speedruns are very often have what's called step routes or seed manipulation or memory manipulation. So it's stuff like, you know, you memorize the encounter rates and then minimize how many fights you do by like opening the menu on certain frames or things like that. It's very, very optimized, once again. I think part of my problem with a lot of that type of stuff is I'm very bad at actually like sitting down and practicing stuff. I like to do lots of things for a little bit. Probably why I like bards so much. Now I can start out wanting to play a spellcaster and end up playing a melee character by the end of it, and bard can kind of switch it between all of them. That was terrible. But yeah. No, and I'm sure anyone who's actually following me here has noticed by now that I am terrible at actually finishing some of these longer projects because the amount of work that goes into them behind the scenes, that was terrible also. You can tell when I'm getting into the levels I'm less familiar with, which is anything in 4 after 2. Because that's where the warp pipe is. But yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely some where it's like, oh, this seems like a great idea, and I should have reconsidered because of how much leveling up or something goes into them. Like FF5 in Disgaea. Some of those would be more fun if I streamed, I think. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think this is right. Level 4 is a maze. Yep, I got it. Yeah, no, that's part of why with like Nuzlocke, I'm kind of nervous about whether or not I'm gonna finish it, but I think there's a little bit less grinding involved with than with this Gaia. I mean, that one was ridiculous. And if I can get XCOM working, I'll probably still be able to finish that. I mean, that was actually a lot of fun, and there's not a lot of grinding in XCOM. Everything feels more meaningful. And I was, in both cases, kind of felt more like I was doing what I wanted to do. Which is, once again, you know, I got to just kind of do my thing. And Nuzlocke kind of forces you into stuff, which I'm also not 100% sure I'm going to enjoy, but whatever. At absolute worst, I've got a Blastoise that I'll just try and bust through everything with. I've actually been considering doing some other RPG runs, just because, you know, I have so many RPGs that I love so much. You know, doing like an actual run of Lufia 2, for example. That was terrible. My comments on it's terrible are because it's important to be self-aware. But yeah, no, I've been considering doing something like Lufia 2 or Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger. Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 6. Final Fantasy 6 has potential for grinding, but I really shouldn't need to grind it out unless I really want to push further than I probably need to. That was terrible. Getting into the stuff that I'm much less familiar with. Like I said, anything after, anything basically between 4.2 and 8, basically between 4.2 and 8.1, are a little bit less familiar to me. Figures. Those bullets are actually random, so I am impressed with their accuracy. Much better. Oh my gosh. No, my list of games to potentially stream at this point is still sitting around. I think it's like an 80 or so of down the road things to do, but a lot of them are so long, I'm not gonna make that. You know, the amount of hours I'd actually have to put in to get through a lot of those are so huge, and I am very much doing this as a casual, fun, part-time deal. And we're off to a great start here. I really need to get through this at least. If I die, I'll just, like, warp zone back to 6 later. 10-year-old me would be very disappointed right now. Just saying. So I think, if I'm remembering right, you can like hold some buttons down and push start and it does a thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong. So the plan now is I will just go ahead and warp to 6. I just wanted to do a playthrough. And I really wanted to make a video of something. That's really about where I'm at. Yeah, no, I'm definitely, I mean, it's funny because the bulk of my actual runtime that I've got up is Zelda Randomizer videos, Lufia 2 Ancient Cave runs, and XCOM. Those are the 3 biggest things. As far as taking up space goes. But I like all those things, and I think other people like all those things too, which is nice. That was terrible. That is apparently going to be the subtitle for this video. Super Mario 1. That was terrible. Yeah, no, I think I still need to get, for some reason, Portal kept crashing when I was trying to record it before. I still need to try and get, what's it called? RPG Maker games. I couldn't get to record correctly, which, guy I went to college with, Phil, actually has 5 games out on Steam now, using RPG Maker, and they're actually really good, and I was trying to show them off, along with another, not RPG Maker, but just another, like, the problem is, with all the, or with some of the indie games, the resolution gets weird. Because it's very low. And the recording software didn't like it. So even though you full screen the game, because of the way the windowing is done, it doesn't work. And I can't get the windowing, or the window recording for my video software to work well. Nor can I get my editing, or nor do I want to deal with editing them, so yeah. That's the only reason I haven't tried to do an Untitled Story, which I'm sure I wouldn't have finished, but I at least wanted to, you know, do another kind of show off the game thing, because it's one of my absolute favorites. It's by a guy called, I believe that one's Matt Makes Games. And it is literally, like, I am fairly sure that he used MS Paint to do the backgrounds for it. It is really simple graphics, like really simple pixel graphics, and it's this huge Metroidvania game where you play as an egg. And you have to, like, hatch into a bird and then explore this world and get all the keys, and it is nuts. It is huge. It is probably one of the most challenging and fun games I've ever played. And I can't record it. Like I said, my friend Phil, his company is called Dancing Dragon Games, and he has several things on Steam. So if you just look for Dancing Dragon Games, I think Echoes of Etheria and what's this? Skybound, I think, are the two newest ones, and definitely both worth checking out. I really enjoy the battle systems he creates. They use really cool, weird mechanics. Notably, a threat system, which there's not a lot of games that use outside of MMOs that use that, and you could definitely tell. He is someone who played MMORPGs, and he's mentioned the Fire Emblem series. He likes putting people in situations where they get to like set out choices and have difficult battles, and those are all things that he definitely accomplished. But yeah, no, the biggest thing to me is the threat system, which the other RPG series that I know of that does something similar, although they don't put it on the screen, is Etrian Odyssey, which is another one that I can't record. Etrian Odyssey is a DS and 3DS exclusive title that uses old school RPG, first-person dungeon crawler RPG. So you use they put a grid on your bottom screen on the DS, and you map where you're going as you go through each level, each floor of the dungeon. And so it's supposed to be like an old like Dungeon Keeper, or what was the other one that Wizardry, or some of those other like NES ones that just really challenging old school RPGs. And yeah, it is one of my favorites because the party management in it is amazing. The way you can design your classes to your basically, once you actually figure out how things work in the game, it's not super hard. It just requires a lot of patience, and you have to make a very synergistic group. And once again, I like trying to come up with that. That's one of my favorite things in games, is finding those little synergies and stuff. Finding little combos between characters. So, like in the current one, my setup, and my favorite setup in most of them, is something involving what's called a chain. So, basically, whenever you have one character that sets up so that whenever another character hits with a certain type of attack, they get to do a follow-up. And it's really neat and very it's very glass cannon fragile kind of setup, but it's a lot of fun too. And those games in general are fun. They also have a really cool economy system where the only way you get you don't get item drops from monsters in the traditional sense. You get parts from the monsters that you can take back to town and then use those to craft, basically. So, it's neat. They're very story light, but they did add, there's a remake of the first two games for 3DS, and those ones they added in like an actual narrative, a lot more narrative, and did a lot better job of exploring and explaining the world. I hate water levels! But yeah, like I was saying, Dancing Dragon Games is a great indie studio that there's not, I think it's mostly just him and his artist. So, I mean, it's very light on, I mean, it is a true indie game company. Jeez. I hate bloopers. And definitely worth checking out. They make some great stuff for, especially considering how many people they've got. Like, a lot of RPG Maker games are very generic, and these are not. They are very customized for what he wants to do, and like he's worked in class systems, and like I said, the taunt system is, or the threat system is amazing, and it's in I think all of his games, which is basically enemies have a % chance to hit different party members based on their threat. So you can actually set up like a tank. In fact, you really have to set up a tank and then balance out your healing and your DPS like in an MMO. Most of these you can just run forward without having to stop like that. I might have messed up. Yep. I really don't want to die right now. I'm so close to getting back to familiar territory. But yeah, no, I highly recommend checking it. I think Skybound is the shortest one, but I really, really liked it as far as, I felt like it was the easiest to just pick up and play. I think, I can't remember what the second one is. I'm forgetting the name of the other one. Echoes of Etheria had like a kind of a more tacticsy feel to it. It wasn't a tactics game, but it had that kind of feel, like almost more like a turn-based Mega Man Battle Network kind of thing, where you actually had like rows and stuff that mattered. I think they probably did that completely backwards. We'll find out. Yep. I don't remember this part. I'm almost positive that part, or that wasn't right. I am almost positive that that it's top. Maybe it's bottom. Maybe it's top, bottom, top. Nope. There's not that many ways to go. I have no shame. I have already established that I am very casually going through this. I was almost right. Figures. Those are hammers. Okay. One more for the road. Yeah, one of my goals with some of my new videos is going to be, I'm going to try and do less extended series and do some games that I'm just going to play for like a couple hours and put up like a demo. Like I did with Blaster Master and some of the Steam games that I've gotten off Steam sale or Kickstarter rewards games. I like the stuff that I can get people involved because I do. I mean, in a fully selfish capacity, I feel like I get a lot more response that way. But I also know that obviously, if people are responding, that means people are liking it. And yeah, I have this weird issue where a lot of the people who like one thing very much don't get into the other things that I record. So yeah, it's kind of a weird, like basically the main split seems to be some of my classic game videos versus something like my XCOM videos are very different crowds. And obviously stuff like Hearthstone is more selective, because not everybody plays Hearthstone. Although those are very much intended to try and get people to play Hearthstone. I highly recommend it. I'm also planning on checking out the new digital Magic game when it comes out. It's supposed to be very reminiscent of Hearthstone except Magic the Gathering. And I really like Magic the Gathering, so I am not opposed to this, especially if it has a good single-player mode. Because while I do like playing against other people, I like playing against other people at a table. Magic Online is actually something I had considered trying to figure out for videos too. Just because I do really like Magic and there's not a good way to show it off or talk about it on something like this. Without extensive video editing. I mean, I could make videos. I could make content for Magic. There are people who make content for Magic. And I've considered at least doing, I think it's CMDR decks. There's a couple channels that do like discussion videos on that was terrible. Once again, that do yeah, there's places that do video discussions where you hold your deck up and you go through card by card, and I've considered trying to do those with my decks because I mostly play a format called Commander, which is mostly about making thematic and synergistic decks, and you have to use 100 cards that are all different, except for basic lands. So, as I've said multiple times, this is something that would obviously appeal to me, and sorry, that jump is like one of the hardest things in the entire game. That would happen. So yeah, I've definitely considered doing like a CMDR Dex type thing. I think that's the right site. I'll have to check it or look it up, but basically where people would hold up the front card. It's a close zoom on the cards with adequate lighting so you can actually read them, and then just flip through the cards one by one and talk about the way that it fits the themes and the synergies. I mean, they're like little 10-minute videos. They're not super complicated, and it's something I feel like I could do. But once again, it requires being able to actually, edit and having the it's basically a lot of that type of stuff is another layer to making videos, and it's another layer of expense to making videos. So I've actually thought about trying to do like a character creation thing for D&D also, because that is something that I've actually written some articles for some of the games I play, which I really should post somewhere. Some of them have literally never been seen by another person probably, but it's just literally step by step how to make a better character, how to fix your character kind of thing. Just ignore that little yellow text in the bottom of the screen. Hopefully I won't need it. But yeah, no. So I've thought about, like, once again, I really need to fix some of the stuff on my video capture software, I think, because there's some of that I could totally do. Since I use Hero Lab for most of my D&D stuff, being able to actually record on Hero Lab, or just basically record myself going through Hero Lab while I'm building a character idea, is definitely something I could do for most RPG systems I play. Or Grapevine for Vampire the Masquerade. I don't know. I know those would also have a very selective crowd, but it's again, I like variety of content, and it's something that I feel like I can do that people might be interested in. Oh, we're good. I would also at some point like to get figure out a good way to get other people on, either like do a multiplayer game with some people and like record the Discord as a soundtrack also, or possibly like record videos. I know, like, since there's a few of us doing races, I talked about trying to get a side-by-side race video put together. For Zelda Randomizer. You know what? That little jump that I've stopped on a couple times, it's the bullet bill with the 2 posts afterwards, is the jump that killed me all the time as a kid. That was my stopping point, and I've learned since then how the momentum in Mario works a little better, so you can actually so I know you like do the jump backwards and then forwards. wanted. Go up one. This level has a surprising number of power-ups in it, but it also is full of Hammer Brothers, so it doesn't actually matter that much. Oh, that was possibly the best that could have been. I'm trying to remember, yeah. So yeah, maybe if I can get my my screen capture software to work better, I could actually do, you know, a mix of like deck tech videos or character creation videos using the software that I usually use for all of those. The website I use for Magic decks and would probably be sufficient for that. And once again, I am not by any means like the best at making and breaking characters or anything like that. Generally, my goal is to make and break fun characters. I like to take characters who are very good at weird things or can do things that basically take the weird character and make them functional is generally my my goal. And the same thing with decks, and same thing with lots of other stuff. It's take the weird idea and make it work instead of just figuring out the one broken thing to do. I had enough of that in college when I was playing D&D. And I still held back. Anytime anybody says, hey, I'm playing a Gestalt game, say, please don't. That's all I have to say. Okay. Let's see if we can get this. Boom! Basically, it took us 2 continues. It's not terrible, right? No, that was terrible. I know that. I can do better. But yeah, no. I'll be fair and say that Mario was just kind of a background for this. I really enjoyed just kind of talking at whoever happens to be listening. Rambling on for about an hour about nothing and on into the wee hours of the morning. So yeah. Let me know if any, I mean, I talked about a lot of different stuff here. If you enjoyed this, give me a like and subscribe. If you are interested in any of the things that I've mentioned in my ramblings, please let me know. And, you know, share something in the comments and I'll try to make that happen. You'd be very surprised at how fast I tend to gravitate towards user suggestions. You know, I like making the people who give me feedback happy. You know, if I hear somebody say, hey, yeah, no, I've been watching all of your Disney, I really like your Disney videos, I'll probably end up making more Disney videos that day. You know, somebody says, hey, when are you gonna do another Nuzlocke video? I made time to make a Nuzlocke video. So yeah, let me know what you're interested in. I definitely want to know, and I may end up posting some links here to some of the stuff I talked about too. We'll see. But yeah. Hopefully you still enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoyed the ramblings. I really enjoyed doing this sort of thing, so I hope that other people are enjoying it. And yeah, have a good one.